Hello and welcome to James Cotter Field on the campus of UMass Boston for a Little East Conference matchup between the visiting Western Connecticut State University and your UMass Boston Beacons. This is a huge matchup in the Little East Conference standings as UMass Boston comes in at 3-0, tied with first place Keene State and Western Connecticut State. Just a game behind those two teams at 2-1. These two sides have not played since 2019, but in 2019 they played each other twice in 5 days. The Beacons earning a spot in the 2019 Little East Conference Tournament thanks to a win on Senior Day right here at James Cotter Field, defeating Western Connecticut State 16-10. And the Colonials would rue letting the Beacons into the tournament as UMass Boston became just the third team in Little East Conference Tournament history to win a playoff game in men's lacrosse as the 6th seed, upsetting Western Connecticut State in that Little East Conference quarterfinal game 11-8 as UMass Boston raced out to a 9-1 lead and held off a late charge from Western Connecticut State to earn that victory. This year, both teams off to strong starts. In fact, both teams have defeated two of the same opponents, as UMass Boston defeating Southern Maine by a 25-15 score and just knocking off Eastern Connecticut State by a 10-8 score on Tuesday. Western, on the other side, defeated Southern Maine 23-12 and Eastern 9-7. So very similar score lines and also very similar statistics. Both teams have been scoring at a very high rate on their shots on goal. The biggest disparity between these two sides might be the amount of shots the Beacons put up against those two teams and Western's advantage in man-up offense. They've been very good, the Beacons, with just 2 man-up goals through their first 3 games, although they are amongst the nation's leaders, averaging just under 22 goals per game. Right now, we're going to hear from UMass Boston Lacrosse coach Tyler Lowe. This was an interview filmed before the Beacons' first ever victory over Eastern Connecticut State on Tuesday, but he talks about his team's first 2 wins of the year, wins over Castleton and Southern Maine, and how they're approaching this big week as the Beacons play 3 games in 5 days in their second of 3 weeks here during the regular season in 2021.
About a little guy that lives in the world, and all day and all night he just like him, inside and outside, through his house, and everything is and everybody around I'm moved, oh God,
And welcome back to James Cotter Field as UMass Boston. Those are actually the highlights from the Beacons' victory over Western Connecticut State the last time these two teams were in Boston, as we are going to bring you the players to watch in just a moment. First off, for UMass Boston, we're going to be talking about the reigning Little East Conference goalie of the week, who is actually coming off of his best game as a Beacon, the sophomore for UMass Boston, Trevor Koppe, who has just been so good ever since joining the Beacons, as we'll bring you his graphic in just a second. Koppe coming off of a career-high 23 assist game the other day against Eastern Connecticut State, keeping the Beacons in a game that they actually trailed 8-7 going in to the fourth quarter. Koppe out of Attleboro, Massachusetts, coming in at 3-0 with a 9.00 goals against average, 67.3 save percentage. That is a full 10 points better than he had as a freshman when he started all 4 games for the Beacons and posted a 7.20 goals against average. The player to watch on the opposite side is a player who has been fantastic throughout his career, but has really struggled against UMass Boston. And this is interesting. The senior goalie for Western Connecticut State, former second team all-conference player Perry Cassidy, for whatever reason has struggled against the Beacons, but has been good this year. 2-1 with a 55.1 save percentage and 11.69 goals against. But in his 3 career matchups against the Beacons, is 0-3 with a 45.3 save percentage and a 15.26 goals against average, making 24 saves versus 29 goals against, including being pulled in both games in 2019, pulled at halftime of the regular season game and in midway through the second quarter in the playoff game after he allowed 9 goals on 12 shots. Right now, we are going to quickly bring you the starting lineups for these two sides. First, for the visiting Colonials. It's a pretty normal-looking group for this side, as Western Connecticut State brings back a lot of returners from this group. The guys to watch: Timothy Yanucci, Zach Santo-Emma is the faceoff guy, and Eric Caldwell, the all-time leading scorer in program history. I'll bring you the UMass Boston starters verbally, and we are about to get underway here at James Cotter Field in a matchup of two teams that likely will be battling for the 2 seed all season long, and potentially even the 1 for UMass Boston. Face-off won by Jack Dobrzynski, and he shoots it just wide as the Beacons will keep possession. Big win for Dobrzynski, who is coming off of his worst game since early on in his first season as a Beacon back in 2019, winning just 5 of 17 face-offs the other day against Eastern Connecticut State, but able to win that first one and pick up the ground ball. He came in with a team-high 38 ground balls on the season. Right now it's Jack Riley, the dual-sport hockey and lacrosse player. I'm not sure if that was a shot or a pass. It'll get out over the end line, and let's see what the referees are going to say. They are going to keep the ball with the Beacons. The Beacon starters today: Chris Palin, Gavin Admirand, Connor Lenfest, Trevor Koppe in net, Nick Batuzak, sophomore defenseman, as it's Gavin Admirand right now with the ball, the Beacons' leading scorer. Cam Ford, Robert Sprague, Jack Dobrzynski, and Darragh Fahey. And just like that, the Beacons take a 1-0 lead. It's Gavin Admirand, the USILA National Team Member of the Week, with his first of the day and his first of the week. Last week had 14 goals, did not score against Eastern Connecticut State. The first time in his career that he had not scored a goal for UMass Boston since joining from Merrimack College after his freshman season. Up to a team-high 15 goals. Dobrzynski again in the face-off X and able to win that off Santo-Emma. Now he loses his stick, and they're going to say a violation against Dobrzynski, and it'll go over to Western Connecticut State. It's Eric Caldwell, the man with the ball. He's the guy to watch. Caldwell, the all-time leading scorer in Western Connecticut State history, one of the top active scorers in all of Division III, comes into today's action with 162 goals, 74 assists, and 236 points. He actually set program record for points in 2020 And now the senior out of Riches, New York, is back for his 5th season. Controlling it here is Benjamin Hawthorne. Ball is tipped over the end line, and it'll stay with Western Connecticut State. Western with Yanucci giving it off for Arano. Arano darts to the net, and it's saved by Copy, and he's able to hold on. Trevor Copy picking up just where he left off. He made 6 saves in that 4th quarter against Eastern down at Eastern Connecticut State on Tuesday to help the Beacons shut out the Warriors, and they eventually rallied for 3 goals in the 4th. Low pass from Copy, and it'll get away from Lenfest, and that's out of bounds as the Beacons give it right back. Western will start with Perry Cassidy, senior out of East Setauket, New York. Setauket, New York is a place that they have a lot of players from, although some are from East Setauket, some from South Setauket. Cassidy is going to be allowed a lane. He's going to head towards net, finally stepping over, and there's a bounce shot, and Perry Cassidy comes up with the goal. A very rare goalie goal, as stepping over late for UMass Boston was Matt Palin, and Cassidy just elected to take it himself. So one name on the score sheet you would expect in Gavin Admirand, and one you really wouldn't. Perry Cassidy, the senior goalie out of East Setauket, New York, comes up with his first goal of the season. Don't have his career numbers for offense in front of me. Did have all the defensive numbers, but wasn't expecting a goalie goal. Dobrzynski across for Fahey. Beacons looking to answer, and they do. Darragh Fahey, the junior out of Walpole, just like that, scores for the Beacons, and it's 2-1. Fahey, the 2019 LEC Rookie of the Year and a second-team All-Conference player as a freshman, comes up with his 6th goal of the year. And it's 2-1, just under 2.5 minutes into this game. 2 goals in a span of 15 seconds at most. Dobrzynski and Santoema. It's Cam Ford, who looked like he had a lane. He's knocked down, and it's Dobrzynski able to pick it up. Fahey controls for UMass Boston. The one big thing the Beacons had going for them in both wins over Western Connecticut State back in 2019 was their hot starts. 5-0 in the first game, 9-1 in the second. Looking to get off to another one as they lead 2-1 here. Handling it is Fahey, looking to get towards the front of the cage. He'll have to back off all the way out top for Zach Mann. Mann, another one of those Merrimack transfers on the Beacons roster. For Connor Lenfest, the Binghamton player, over for Joe Myers, another transfer out of Emerson College. Loses it, but able to tip it over for Mann, who can't find it. Still loose. Finally picked up by Western Connecticut State. Working with it there was James Bringman for a moment. Diving Lenfest, the behind-the-back pass, but too strong on the effort and keeping it inside the offensive end there for UMass Boston. Good work from Michael Claflin. Claflin ahead for Joe Myers, and the Beacons make it 3-1. UMass Boston coming out in a roaring start here as Joe Myers picks up his 3rd goal of the season. And it's 3-1 UMass Boston. Myers with 3 goals in 4 games on just 5 shots. He scored on every shot on goal this year, 3 for 3. Spent his freshman year in Emerson before making the short journey over to UMass Boston. Senior originally out of Carmel, New York. Looks like Western has changed up their face-off man. It's Dobrzynski this time against Matt Peters. Doesn't matter. Dobrzynski has won every face-off thus far, although he was called for 1 violation. Low skip pass for Fahey, bounces away. And this lead could be even larger if not for some of the miscues by the Beacons on some of their pass attempts. A couple of poor pass attempts where there wasn't really much pressure coming from Western. Western avoiding the offside. Wise play there by Ryan Kinsley, and they set up offensively with Trey Arano. Arano comes in with 8 goals on the year. Caldwell, a spin shot that goes wide. You can't miss Eric Caldwell. Big number 31, who stands at 6'5". 2017 LEC Rookie of the Year. We have the 17, 18, and 19 Rookies of the Year in the Little East Conference all on the field today. Caldwell in 17, Connor Lenfest for the Beacons in 18, and Darragh Fahey in 2019. course, there was no LEC Rookie of the Year last year because the season was shortened because of the pandemic. No conference games played. Good luck from Caldwell, and it's 3-2 as Jesse Weaver finds the back of the net. His second goal of the year, 7th career goal for the junior out of Highland, New York. The Beacons have done a good job for the most part in limiting Eric Caldwell. Had 4 goals in his first meeting against the Beacons back in 2013, but hasn't had a huge game since. But that was a really nice feed, and Jesse Weaver able to beat Trevor Coppy up high. 3-2, 10:30 in. We're not even 5 full minutes into this game, and we've got 5 goals. It is a frenetic pace. Just don't know how long it can last on what is already a cool and windy night, and the sun is going to go down, and it's going to get cooler as we've got a face-off violation against Max Gironda. First of the quarter against Western Connecticut State, and that'll give the Beacons the ball without ever having to do anything. Cam Ford dishes it off for Donovan Brzezinski, the UMass Dartmouth transfer, grad student who played his first 4 years at UMass Dartmouth, and then they elected in the middle of the pandemic to get rid of some of their sports, including men's lacrosse. Means the Beacons got a huge player in a 2-time all-conference forward who's just shy of 200 points for his career. Fahey dekes out a player behind the net for Admirand, looking for his second, and he scores. Admirand's got 2, Fahey's got 2 points, and the Beacons have a 2-goal lead. 4-2. The Beacons answering back Western's goal 31 seconds later, and well, if you like offense in lacrosse, you are seeing a really good display. Admirand with goals number 15 and 16 on the season. He now has 38 goals for UMass Boston in 7+ games. Came in with 60 points in his first 7 games, and now he has 2 already as Lenfest takes a really, really hard slash to the legs. It's going to draw a penalty. If that's soccer, that's a red card. But instead, we're just going to see a penalty to Matt Peters as Lenfest is hobbling, and it was such a dangerous slash low as he was trying to dive out of the way, and it caught him hard. He's going to hobble off right now and be checked on by the Beacons trainer, but that is bad news for UMass Boston. That would hurt a lot to begin with, but on a cold night, cold metal, coming down and hitting you across the front of the leg, that is really tough to see, and you hope Lenfest is okay as he is able to hobble and skip off to behind the Beacons bench where he'll be attended to. The Beacons are going to get a penalty. The question is for how long, as that was a really nasty-looking play by Peters. I'm sure he didn't intend to come across as hard as he did, but vicious slash, and we'll see. We're waiting to hear on just how long this penalty is to Peters as the Beacons have their first man-up opportunity of the day. Just 2 for 10 on the year. Both goals this season coming from Admirand. It's really been their Achilles heel, their man-up offense, as Brzezinski drops it, picks it right back up for Fahey. Jason Whitlock is in for the first time. Fahey sends it wide. Whitlock, the sophomore out of Amherst, Mass., a Lemoyne College D2 powerhouse in New York. UMass Boston transfer this season. The Beacons swinging around, and it's past Fahey. This one's going to come to midfield, bouncing around, and we're going to get a violation on the Beacons for an offside there. And another poor start to a man-up opportunity as the Beacons with a unforced turnover. Peters is still kneeling in the penalty area, so if the Beacons can get it back, they'll be up a man, but frustrating start to this first man-up opportunity. The bigger question is, how is Connor Lenfest doing as he's hobbling over towards the sideline? It looks like he's going to come back in. Lenfest came in today's action 3 goals shy of 100 for his career. Would be the 8th player in program history to reach 100 goals as a Beacon. Western in no hurry right now as they are back to even strength. Still 50 on the shot clock. Working with it here is Hawthorne. Hawthorne over for Cicchetti. Behind the net, it's Yanucci. Yanucci for Arano, and they'll swing it around for Caldwell. Caldwell already with an assist, goes down low. Copy a big save, able to deny Hawthorne, but the Beacons are going to be called for the delayed penalty as they took out Hawthorne, who was in tight asking for the ball. Again, they swing it. It's Yanucci behind the net, double teamed out top for Caldwell. Jack Riley meets him, one of the Beacon's bigger players. Skip pass bounces away there from Santa Emma, but we're going to see a delayed call against UMass Boston, and it's going to be Nick Matuzak, the Beacon's biggest defender, 6'1", 190 out of Ann Arbor, Michigan, heading over to take a kneel. .757, 4-2 UMass Boston lead, but Beacon's unable to take advantage of a man-up opportunity, and now Western will get their first look. They are a good man-up team this year. 43.8% on the season. Swing it to the far side. Shot goes well wide there off the stick of Cicchetti, sophomore out of Lindenhurst, New York. Caldwell will bring the ball in. He's the team's top scorer and has been ever since his freshman season. Two-time all-conference player back in his freshman and sophomore season, not honored as a junior. Behind the net, it's Arano in tight and an easy goal for Timothy Yanucci. Copy is looking at his defense. I'm not sure if he thought that the player Yanucci might have been inside the circle, but that is a great feed for Timothy Yanucci, who picks up his 5th goal of the season, up to 10 points now in 4 games. Has started every game for Western. 4-3, the pace has slowed down a little bit as we're just past the midway point of the first quarter. Dobrzynski for the Beacons. I believe it's Santa Emma for Western. It will be, but Dobrzynski wins it nonetheless. Double team, loses the ball. Santa Emma picks up the ground ball, and Western going the other way. Zach Santa Emma, the senior out of Madison, Connecticut, came in with a team-high 63.6% in the face-off spot, able to pick up the ground ball after losing it. Caldwell thought about a long shot. He'll take it, and it skips past Copy. 4-4. Caldwell from distance, his first goal of the game. And just like that, back-to-back goals in quick succession from Western, and we're tied at 4 with 7:04 to go in the first quarter. The Beacons have won the majority of the faceoffs, but they have turned it over quite a few times, and that's hurt them, as they easily could have expanded this to maybe 3 or 4 goal lead, and instead we're back to a tie game. So we'll see Matt Peters, who was whistled for that harsh slash on Connor Lenfest, take the face-off and lose it to Dobrzynski, who I don't believe has lost the face-off yet. Over for Fahey, right in the middle of that BC High crest, and the Beacons will set up their offense. Working with it here is Claflin, who set up the Joe Myers goal. Claflin did not play as a sophomore. He was injured. It's off to a good start this year, 3 goals and 3 assists. Good to see Lenfest out there, who appears to be okay. All the way up top for Chad Kidd. Kidd, a former fullback at Curry College. You can see him using his power there, but he's denied by Perry Cassidy. Cassidy's first save of the day. Seen a couple from Copy, and Admirand runs through Peters, and I think he's going to be sent over to the, well, it's not a sin bin. Let's call it a sin rectangle. Beacon's second penalty. We've already seen Western score on their first opportunity. UMass Boston 0 for 1, and a chance for Western to take their first lead of the game. Beacons led it 1-0, 2-1, and 4-2. Admirand, not only the reigning LEC Offensive Player of the Week, but also Defensive Player of the Week. Guy you don't want to be kneeling over there and out of the action for long. It'll be Trey Arano to restart it here. Caldwell right in the middle of the Beacons defense. That's the guy you have to watch. Towers over some of the Beacons defenders. All the way up top for Arano. Thought about the long shot. Swings it to the far side. It's Hawthorne whose shot gets knocked down by a Beacon. Ball is loose. Arano picked it up for a second, and it's finally controlled by Sprague. Sprague and the Beacons will go the other way. The Beacons do not have a man-down goal yet this season. Sprague just looking for help, able to find Fahey, who toes that midfield line. And now the Beacons looking to potentially create here down a man. Admirand is back. Coming in is Jack Riley all the way to the cage. His shot is denied, but Riley is there first, still fighting for it and able to pick up the ground ball. New 80 seconds on the shot clock for the Beacons. Riley way behind Darragh Fahey. This one's going to cross the line. The Beacons trying to keep it in front, and that's a pretty clear offside there. Is losing his balance for UMass Boston was Nick Matuzak. Caldwell with it, trying to get a step on Matuzak, and he just pushes him off. Beacon's biggest defender with a very difficult man-to-man matchup right now as he works one-on-one with Caldwell. Beacon's trying to show up some help side defense. Top for Aaron, looking for the low shot. Kick save there. Good work from Trevor Copy. 23 saves the other day. He's got at least 4 in this first quarter. 10 minutes gone by. UMass Boston 4, Western Connecticut State 4. Yanucci and Caldwell playing catch. Has Arano if he wants him. He'll fake the pass and finally give it up. Western is putting 3 players towards the front of the cage as they know the Beacons are so focused on Caldwell, they might lose some of those other options. Yanucci finds a cutting player and shooting it just high as Santa Emma. Team's face-off man was looking for what would have been his 3rd goal of the season. Yanucci up top for Hawthorne and for Caldwell. Only has 1 today. Riley defending him, and it's pushed out. And I like that matchup if you're UMass Boston. Jack Riley isn't quite as big as Caldwell, but he's a hockey player who's used to absorbing big hits and hitting guys who are bigger than him. He's got a pretty imposing body. And as a true senior, he's been working with the Beacons athletic performance coach for 4 years. Has a little bit more core strength than some of the other players who maybe haven't had a chance to fully develop their bodies. Chance here in tight. Hawthorne sends it wide, and they'll get the ball back with 25 on the shot clock. Western still looking for that first lead of the day. Certainly the kind of competitive start they were looking for after really getting hurt by the Beacons in the first quarter of the last 2 games. Beacons knocked down the pass from behind the net, keeping it alive, and really good work there from Michael Claflin as the Beacons control. And we've got a stoppage, and it goes against the Beacons. It looks like Claflin absorbed what could have been an illegal hit. Instead, they're going to say that the Beacons were the team that had a little bit too much extracurriculars. We'll stay even strength, but Western continues what has been a very long time in the Beacons' half. Arno out of Holbrook, New York, over for Santa Emma, and again, he can't put it on target. Zach Santa Emma out of Daniel Hand High School in Connecticut. Had a couple good looks, but has not been able to beat Trevor Copy on this long possession. Near side for Caldwell behind the cage, right back for Santa Emma, who's been working from this short side. Trying to find Caldwell, but putting it behind him was Yanucci, and the Beacons finally will have a chance to break out. They'll have clear possession here. Throwing it forward is Palin. Palin connecting with Matuzak. Ahead here for Murphy. Luke Murphy's been a really good playmaker for the Beacons. 5 assists, good for 5th best on the team. Lenfest up top for Brzezinski. The Beacons have not scored in about 5 minutes after scoring 4 goals in the opening 5. Murphy all the way to the edge of the goalie circle. Behind the net for Lenfest. Over for Fahey, who has a goal and an assist today. Back for Brzezinski. Brzezinski's shot, and it's right into the netting there of Cassidy. Knocked down by Admirand. Already with 2 goals. Working on the hat trick. He's got it. Gavin Admirand, a great defensive play to read the pass from Cassidy. He came running from behind the net to knock it down, picked up the ground ball, and then scored to give the Beacons a 5-4 lead. That is a complete play from Gavin Admirand, the junior out of Marshfield, Mass. Give him 17 goals on the season, 25 points. And again, this is in 3 complete games and 1 quarter. If you were worried about him maybe being in his head after that game against Eastern Connecticut State where he was limited to just the 3 assists, he's played well today. Dobrzynski has it knocked out of his stick from a player from behind, gets it back, and the Beacons control here as they'll try to hold on with Cam Ford. Ford for Lenfest, and the Beacons are going to get reinforcements. Brzezinski comes on along with Zach Mann, and the Beacons will look to rebuild a multiple goal lead. It was 4-2 earlier, but Western had scored 2 in a row and kept the Beacons off the scoreboard for a while before that great all-around play from Admirand to cause turnover, the ground ball, and the goal, all in a matter of seconds. Working with it here is Claflin, junior out of Newton. His pass is deflected, gets all the way through for Lenfest. Lenfest has it tipped out of his stick. Really good defensive work there. And working with it here is Jesse Weaver. Weaver scored an early goal, but now he's working on the clear, and he's able to get across the midfield line. Weaver's going to slow it down for Arano. 1:26 to go in the quarter, 60 seconds left on the shot clock. Western, if they wanted to, could slow it down long enough to really give the Beacons very little time left if they were to get the ball back. If they can get a shot clock reset, they could probably keep the ball for the rest of the quarter, although they're just looking to tie this one up at 5. Santa Emma behind the net for Yanucci. Has Caldwell, instead goes the deep way for Hawthorne. Skip shot and another save for Copy. That was actually Cicchetti. 43, not 45 on the shot. Matuzak across the midfield line, able to find Chris Palin. Palin wears number 1. His twin brother Matt wears number 7 for the Beacons, a pair of defenders. Long stick defenseman needs help. He's being badgered from behind, has it knocked out, but picking up immediately is Riley. Shore-handed senior out of Rentham. Riley sees a lane to the net. Riley to the backside, and he finds Lenfest. Great work there. Riley looking for the pass the whole way, and the Beacons have rebuilt their lead to 6-4. Lenfest, his first goal of the day, his 98th collegiate goal. 2 shy of 100 for his career. The other guy that we're looking for a potential career milestone today, Donovan Przinski. He needed 2 points today, a goal or an assist of variety, to come up with 200 for his career. His older brother, Bo Przinski, was the all-time leading scorer at UMass Dartmouth in goals, 180, and points, 232. UMass Boston controlling it here. The clock down to 15 seconds. Lenfest darts, dives, cross for Fahey, and that one goes off the shoulder of Cassidy. Ball is still loose. Still loose here with 5 seconds left. The Beacons pick it up. Admirand needs to shoot. He does, and Cassidy another save. That will do it for quarter number 1. It was a really fast start for these two sides. 4-3 after just 5 minutes. Western Connecticut State slowed down the Beacons' offense for a while, tied the game at 4. But in the end, the Beacons, with 2 late goals, take a 6-4 lead thanks to a first quarter hat trick from Gavin Admirand. The teams will switch side as we get ready for the second quarter. UMass Boston has led or been tied throughout. They trailed for most of their game on Tuesday against Eastern Connecticut State to extend their winning streak to 7 consecutive games. 8 games in a row would be third best in program history. Well, actually, it would be second best because the 1996 and 1997 teams coached by Miles Berry each won 11 in a row, but the 96 team finished their season on an 11-game winning streak, and the 97 team opened their season on an 11-game winning streak. So it comes out to a 22-game winning streak, tied for the longest in school history with the 2011 volleyball team, who won 22 matches in a row all in one season. Volleyball season's a little bit longer than lacrosse seasons. Fahey trying to get around his defender over for Lenfest. Still 40 on the shot clock as the Beacons won yet another faceoff. That has been a huge thorn for Western thus far. It's Whitlock with it. Scored the final goal in that win over Eastern Connecticut State. Takes a shot that goes just wide. Didn't catch any piece of Cassidy, who started slow in this game but had 2 saves in the final 10 seconds of that first quarter. That's got to help his confidence. Admirand, the man with 3 goals already. 63 points in his Beacons career. Make it 64. 4 of the first 11 goals overall, and the Beacons have their largest lead of the day at 7-4. Admirand, a member of the USILA National Team of the Week for the second time in 2 years with UMass Boston. We're talking a grand total of 6 games, so it just shows how consistently good he's been, and he picks up yet another point. It's weird to be thinking about 100 career points, but with the way he's going, he could put up 100 career points in 10 to 12 games. He's been that dominant. Big face-off here for Western. It'll be Dobrzynski working against Max Gironda, and it just doesn't matter. Dobrzynski's been that good. A pass, though, behind the player. Gavin Admirand picks it up and scores. The pass wasn't intended for him, but he picks up the ground ball, and it is 8-4 Beacons. 2 goals in about 12 seconds. 2 goals in the first minute 15 of the quarter, and the Beacons have made it 4 consecutive goals, and they lead it by 4 goals, 8-4. Not what you want if you're Western Connecticut State coach Ryan Cavanaugh. Dobrzynski will go back up against Zach Santa Emma. He's their top face-off man. Came in at over 60%, but they've just had no luck against Dobrzynski, who Admirand and Dobrzynski had their most difficult game in the past 2 years. This past Tuesday in that 10-8 win over Eastern, both of them have been off to very impressive starts to this one. Lenfest being pushed away from the cage there. Able to bring it out for Joe Myers, who has one of the Beacons' 8 goals. Myers, skip shot, Cassidy the save, and they'll look to go the other way with it. Long stretch pass ahead of Matt Peters. Can he run it down before the line? He does, but unable to handle it. Matt Palin the first to it. He'll scoop it across, but it's controlled there behind the net by Arano. He takes a shot, copy the save, but we're going to see a flag, and this one will go against Robert Sprague. Western will go a man up for the 3rd time today, 1 for 2. And that was a good play by the Beacons to keep it alive, but Palin unable to find a teammate. And now Western desperate to come up with an answer to stop this Beacons run. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, for that brief pause. Western Connecticut State able to get a goal, and then the Beacons are whistled for offside. So the Colonials picking up some much-needed momentum right now, trying to cut back into this deficit after the Beacons had scored 4 in a row, and it's 2 in a row right back. Yanucci off a really good feed from Marino, and just like that, it's 8-6. So 11:54 to go, and this game is far from over. Really good feed from Yanucci, and neither team can hold on to the momentum for long. Dobrzynski and Peters in the face-off, and it's not time to worry if you're UMass Boston, but you'd certainly like to get the ball back after Western has come up with a couple in a row, and it's Western being whistled for the infraction, so Beacon's given a break there. Jack Riley will pick up the ball and restart it. 11:50 to go in the second quarter. UMass Boston has led for most of the game, have not trailed. They control here. Working with it is Man. Man behind the cage for Admirand, already with, I think it's 4, if not 5 goals at this point. Lost track for the moment. Whitlock turning, twisting for Admirand, who can't handle it, but he'll have time to track it down. 50 on the shot clock. 11:20 to go in the quarter. Fahey with it. Way away from the cage, working against Camizio. Long stick defender. Up top for Riley. Riley looking to get to his right side, takes a shot. Cassie the save, and it bounces all the way over to the Beacons sideline. It'll stay with the Beacons and a new 80 on the shot clock. That ball bounced so far out that it almost left the stadium. Riley, who took that shot, will come back in, spins, turns, takes the shot. It goes wide, but would have been a really great look. They're going to say that that was a pass, and it's going to come all the way out, and it'll go back to Western. Western Connecticut State controlling. Working with it here is Yanucci. We've got 10:32 to go currently in quarter number 2. Yanucci bouncing around for Weaver. Actually, this is Santa Emma, 18, not 8. Now for Arano. Western with a little bit of confidence after back-to-back goals. Make it 3 in a row. Caldwell with his second of the day, and just like that, it's an 8-7 game. Folks, I would highly advise that you don't go anywhere at any point in this game because you're liable to miss one, if not multiple goals. And it's not that either team is playing poor defense, it's just that these teams have high-powered offenses, and we're seeing some of those big players come through thus far. Admirand already has a hat trick. Caldwell with 2 today. Brings his career total up to 238 points. Not too shabby for a guy who's playing in just his 47th game. Dobrzynski, who's been key to the Beacons, having a lot of possession, controls it. He's knocked down from behind, and that's going to go for a whistle. Max Duranda, a little bit too physical, but we've seen Western try to do that a couple times today. They've been really effective at not winning the faceoff. They're not seeming to have any luck there, but being able to take the ball off of Dobrzynski after he wins it. Admirand looking for the pass, somehow finds Lenfest, who scores. I don't know how he saw that lane to the goal, but Connor Lenfest scores goal number 99 of his career, and the Beacons have pushed their lead back to 2 at 9-7. Again, all it takes is about 20 seconds for a team to create a good chance. That was actually goal number 2. So congratulations to Connor Lenfest, who is now 1 goal shy. He had 2 goals listed the other day against Eastern Connecticut State. Reviewed the stats. He was only credited with 1 goal. Jason Whitlock scored the Beacons' 10th goal. (9-7) is another face-off win for Dobrzynski. Dobrzynski, who has a player draped all over him, wisely pulls it out and gives it over for Chad Kidd, the former Curry College fullback, back in 2016. Hadn't played a collegiate lacrosse game, or hadn't played any kind of organized lacrosse game since 2015, but he's been good this year. And it's Donovan Przinski, his first goal of the day. He needed 2 points today to reach 200 for his career. I don't have the assist numbers in front of me, so that's either .199 or .200 for the senior out of Ashland. 10-7 UMass Boston lead. Still 9 minutes and 17 seconds to go in this second quarter. We are on pace for a game that could easily be into the 20s. UMass Boston does average 21.67 goals per game. They scored 25 in their opener, 30, a program record against Castleton. They've won yet another faceoff as the former track and cross-country star, Cam Ford, able to come across the field and pick up that ground ball. And the Beacons a chance to get that 4-goal lead right back. It's now 10-7. Riley with it for the Beacons as Przinski will issue instructions. Guy who came in as a 5th-year senior and immediately has become a leader on this Beacons roster. Behind the net for Admirand, the most dangerous offensive threat for the Beacons. Ryan Kinsley looking to slow him down. Admirand with 4 looking for a 5th in. Tight somehow goes wide, but we've got a penalty as Admirand took a hard hit to the chest. Western claiming there was no penalty there, but the referees are going to talk about it. And I'd be really surprised if they picked up 2 flags. It's one thing, but both guys who were down low along the goal line had thrown their flags. Today's officiating crew, Derek Franzen, the referee, Luke Ferreira, the umpire, and William Doherty is our field judge, as we're going to have the 3 officials talk it over. Perry Cassidy, I'm not sure if it was the goalie or defenseman who made contact with Admirand. It was a defenseman. It looks like it was Ryan Kinsley, the man who was originally playing man-to-man defense against Admirand. Kinsley's going to be whistled. Perry Cassidy, the team's goalie, actually was whistled for a penalty in the team's last game against Eastern. Had to go off. And they brought in the team's backup goalie just for the man-up opportunity. They gave up a goal. We've got a whistle and a timeout, Western Connecticut State, as they try to figure out how they're going to deal with this Beacons man-up opportunity. Just their second of the day. We're going to take a break. The Beacons lead at 10-3. They had the ball and a man-up opportunity with 8:33 to go in the quarter. UMass Boston with the ball. It's Lenfest over for Fahey. Beacons will cycle it back up top. 2 for 11 on the man up. That has been their one weakness thus far on the year. It's Fahey behind the net. Over for Lenfest, and it's goal number 100, his 3rd of the day, and the Beacons have an 11-7 lead on Connor Lenfest's 100th career goal. Just like that, the Beacons quickly use just 16 seconds of clock. Stretch their lead back out to 4. Dobrzynski, who has probably been the Beacons' man of the game thus far, just in terms of having so much of the possession, able to win it, working against Eastern Connecticut State's Sean Mitchell. We've got a couple flags being thrown. Dobrzynski loses it, and Dobrzynski able to get it back. We're going to get a delayed penalty against Western Connecticut State. But first, the Beacons will control it, and they won't blow the whistle until Western can gain control of this ball. So UMass Boston looking to take advantage. They can take some risks here. Brzezinski back over for Fahey, who had 2 early points in this one. Hasn't been as involved on the score sheet since. Riley whips it wide, and now we should see the penalty being called against Western. Believe it's going to be Jesse Weaver. So a minute after the Beacons' last goal, or last man-up opportunity, they should go up a man here. It's not going to be Weaver. It's actually Mitchell, the man who took the face-off against the Beacons. Man for Admirand, and over for Whitlock. Beacons just looking to stretch out this WestCon tight-knit defense. Admirand up top, off the bar and out. Really good look. He beat Perry Cassidy, who's given up 11 goals thus far. Again, for whatever reason, Cassidy and this entire WestCon team in general has struggled against the Beacons. Beacons have won 5 in a row after losing the previous 10 against WestCon. In tight, and Lenfest from a tight angle has his 4th of the day. 2 Beacons with 4 goals, and it's 12-7. UMass Boston with their largest lead of the evening. UMass Boston back-to-back man-up goals. That'll double their season total. And it is all UMass Boston right now, but the way this game is gone, we could easily see a momentum shift. It's kind of imperative that Western can get something going on because the Beacons have dominated probably the last 3 to 4 minutes as they've stretched this lead back out to 5 after Western had cut a 4-goal lead to 2. Dobrzynski not having anything here. He wins the face-off, and now we've got another flag against WestCon. They're about to go a man down for the 3rd time. Dobrzynski holding on to it in tight, shoots and puts it just wide. See who the foul is called on. It's going to be on a WestCon player. Speaking of UMass Boston and WestCon, we've got an update from down in Danbury. WestCon softball team took game 1 against the Beacons softball team 6-4, but in game number 2, the results have changed or twisted. It's the Beacons leading 6-2 in the top of the 6th. So this is the 3rd game between the 2 schools today. The 2 baseball teams will meet, I think it's next Wednesday, for a doubleheader down at the Westside Athletic Complex. First time the Beacons baseball team has traveled to WestCon in really long time. It's been 5 or 6 years now. Beacons a man up on the penalty again to Mitchell. That's his 2nd straight penalty off of a faceoff. Shot from distance. Cassidy with a huge save on Lenfest to potentially stop the bleeding. Perry, the long pass, and it's caught in stride by Duranda. Man down opportunity. Duranda wants it. He scores over the shoulder of Copy, and that is a huge goal if you're a WestCon fan. The Colonials make it 12-8, and just like that, the Beacons had a chance to stretch out their lead to 6 goals. Jack Dobrzynski, who has been dominant in the face-off, really the only way to slow him down has been to foul him, as Matt Peters is able to knock it around. Ball is loose. Caldwell should be able to scoop it up along the far side, unable to get there, and it's finally picked up by one of the Beacons' long stick players. That's Robert Sprague. Sprague across midfield, Needs help, has Lenfest ahead of him, and he'll find him. Connor Lenfest with it. Tyler Lowe was running down the sideline. I'm not sure if he wanted the ball to Lenfest or if he saw someone else was wide open. I didn't see it. Admirand trying to make a move there on Camazillo. Behind the net. Working with it is Fahey. 4-goal lead with 5.5 to go in the first half. Tons of lacrosse be played. Fahey's pass is knocked down by Camazillo, and it'll be picked up by Perry Cassidy. So a man down goal and a turnover. And it's controlled by Western's Weaver. Weaver ahead for Harris, who's in tight, and his shot gets knocked away by Copy. Beacon's in transition. Back and forth we go. Beacon's outdoor track and field team hasn't had a track meet yet, but the lacrosse team's in the middle of one right now, as Jack Riley will finally slow it down. Fahey from the far side just had that turnover. Lenfest can't handle the laser pass, and it'll eventually go off the Beacons and out as Lenfest couldn't find the ball. Good defensive pressure there from Kinsley. So we saw a really good stretch where the Beacons were able to score 3 in a row, stretch their lead to 5, but now a couple turnovers. It's windy, it's cold. Temperatures have gone way down in the last 24 to 36 hours after just a beautiful start to the week. Western in tight. The shot goes high there. Rare chance for Matthew Shabaro. Beacons will get the ball back, and it'll be Matuzak bringing it into play. Matuzak looking for options, goes across field, up the sideline, and a good catch there from Whitlock. Whitlock is a big sophomore, 6'2", but he loses it there, trying to win it back. Ball still loose, 3 Beacons, 2 Western players, no foul called here. Whitlock from the ground picks it up, gets knocked over by a Western player who was pushed over by a Beacons player. And in that situation, I don't know what the referee is going to call, but first we've got a stoppage, and it might just be a Beacons timeout. We'll take a break along with the teams. UMass Boston 12, WestCon 8, here from James Cotter Field. UMass Boston leads it 12-8. There were no fouls called there, just the Beacons using their first time out of the quarter. So it's the Beacons ball, even strength, 12-8 lead. My name is Seth Dorensky, bringing you all the action here on the Little East Conference Network. It's Kidd barreling his way through. Cassidy might have gotten a piece, and they do say did. So it will be a new 80 seconds on the shot clock for the Beacons, looking to push their lead out back to 5 games, which was their previous season high. Fahey up top for man, and now Kidd. You can see why Tyler Lowe was so excited about the addition of Chad Kidd. He is just a handful to slow down. Just using those same football skills of hitting the hole and just creating a hole. Although he's doing it for himself rather than the running back behind him. Kidd up top loses the ball. It's finally picked up by Weaver. So the Beacons unable to take advantage. Bounce pass across. Nice handle there from James Bringman. Western sets up down 4. Still 3 minutes to go in the half. Plenty of time. Working behind the net is Arano with Matuzak trying to slow him down. Beacons using Jack Ranta right now. Gives up quite a few inches and pounds to try to slow down Caldwell with Riley not on the field. Weaver behind the cage looking for Yanucci, bouncing ball. Palin giving chase, and it's Yanucci picking it up. That's Chris Palin, not Matt, working behind the net. In tight, and a good shot and a goal from Benjamin Hawthorne, and then some extracurriculars as the Beacons gave Hawthorne a push and a shove as he scored. 12-9, 12-9, 2:26 to go in the second quarter. Plenty of time left in this game. As the sun has gone down, it's got colder. It's only got windier here on the Beacons Harbor campus, and it's going to be interesting to see how these teams deal with the elements. Their hands and bodies only get colder as the game goes along, especially for any reserves who are going to be called upon. Dobrzynski able to win the face-off against Peters, collected by Riley. Riley in a foot race with Santa Emma. Riley will take the bounce shot. Not sure if Cassidy got a piece. They say he did not. Shot clock stays at 73. Game clock at 2:13 to go as the Beacons have led pretty much throughout, have led by as many as 5. 2 4-goal games thus far from Admirand and Lenfest. Donovan Przinski, just a goal or an assist shy of 200 for his career. Connor Lenfest has already hit the 100-goal mark of his career. Fahey loses it, takes a big hit, and the Beacons will control. No call coming there against Ryan Kinsley. Ducking in his Whitlock bounce shot goes wide, picked up by Admirand behind the net. We've got a whistle against Westcon as Westcon and UMass Boston player went down. This is going to be picked up by Yanucci, but the whistle will be blown, and it's Whitlock who is slow to get up. Whitlock absorbed a big hit as he tried to get to the cage, was able to get his shot off, but it went well wide. And let's see which Westcon player is going to go off. It's either Shabaro or Gironda. Rather, Shabaro or Santa Emma, and it will be Matthew Shabara, the senior out of Poquog, New York, who came in with 2.5 penalty minutes on the season, tied for first on the Western roster through 3 games. We'll have to kneel, and we're going to see the Beacons restart up top with Admirand. Content to swing it around. UMass Boston 1 for 3 on the day, but they did give up a man down goal, so even strength on their man up. Seen Western score a couple of man up goals. Lenfest has it go off of Cassidy, so it'll stay with the Beacons, 80 on the shot clock, but just 1:13 to go in the second quarter. Fahey around the corner for Admirand, and Cassidy able to take the high riser and hold on. Long pass from Cassidy's intercepted by Palin. Good work. The Beacons say they were onside. The back judge says they were off. It looked like UMass Boston had players intersecting, trying to stay onside there. And unfortunately, it will go against the Beacons, and it'll go back to Western as the flag was thrown. I don't think we're going to see a player necessarily have to go off for the Beacons, although Chris Palin runs off. He's just going to be replaced. Nope, they're going to actually whistle him for a penalty. No PA today, so it's really difficult to tell exactly what the penalties are, but break as the Beacons unable to score on the man up, and now Western will get a man up. It's going to start 5-on-5 as Western's Shabaro is still serving his time, but Western should get a chance once he comes out of the penalty area. Chris Palin is still sitting. Ranta tries to strip from behind. Coming in, good look, and scoring is Steven Cicchetti. An even strength goal, and it's 12-10 with 41.8 to go in quarter number 2. The Beacons had stretched it to 5 on 2 occasions, but just like that, Western back within 2. Big face-off. Dobrzynski able to win it clean over for Ford. WestCon and UMass Boston both back to even strength. See how aggressive the Beacons get here. Up by 2. 28 seconds left. The one thing you don't want to do is go too early and give WestCon a chance to cut into the deficit even further. Riley with it, looking for a low pass. That was dangerous. Still battling for it is Admirand, picking it up, and wide open goal is Darragh Fahey. Is it going to count? They say no. And now they say yes. Darragh Fahey, his 200th career point. 184 at UMass Dartmouth, 16 with the Beacons. And it's back to a 3-goal lead. And with 15.7 left, tons of time if Dobrzynski can win a faceoff clean. Really, for Western, their biggest issue has been they can't win faceoffs. Don't have the stats yet, but I would say at minimum UMass Boston has won 80% of the faceoffs, if not more. And that is a really, really difficult number to come back from if you're Western Connecticut State against such a high-powered offense like UMass Boston. Dobrzynski battling and able to win it clean. 12 seconds on the clock. Dobrzynski keeping him, and he shoots it just wide. No one behind the cages. Admirand came to the front, and that's a bad miscommunication there from the Beacons. Admirand wanted the ball. Dobrzynski kept it and shot it, and that allows Western to whip it across with 6 seconds. They're able to catch with Yanucci. Caldwell can't handle it, and we'll go to halftime with the Beacons leading 13-10. It could have been worse if you're Western. Could have been a lot better if you were doing a little bit better in the face-off spot. So we mentioned an interview with head coach Tyler Lowe in the pregame and played the highlights from the last time these two teams played. Let's bring you that video right now, as this was my conversation.
Beacons Lacrosse head coach Tyler Lowe after a 2-0 week. Coach, a pair of victories, the second one bigger than the first. How happy were you with your team's performance, especially getting as many contributions up and down the line as you guys did in those first 2 games?
Yeah, I was really pleased with the progress that we made from game 1 to game 2, especially on the defensive side of the ball. We knew we had a lot of things we needed to clean up, but that was to be expected with, kind of it being our first game and being a little late to start from a practice standpoint. But we're pleased with the adjustments that we made from game 1 to game 2, and we're pleased with a lot of guys that have really stepped up and made an impact on both sides of the field.
Offensively, the numbers are staggering. 25 goals in the first game, a program record, 30 in the second game. And obviously your big guys have had strong starts this season, but 11 different guys with multiple goals, 19 different players have scored at least 1 goal. What does that say about kind of the depth up and down and kind of how much talent you have that's ready to step in at any moment?
Yeah, I think it speaks to the identity that we've created, not just on offense, but as a team as a whole. I think our assistant coaches have done an unbelievable job preparing our guys, really dating back to last year. So those are the guys that are really driving the bus, especially on the offensive side of the ball. We do have a deep group, which we're very pleased about, but I think it kind of speaks to the identity that we've developed. We want to be a team that's attacking as much as we possibly can. And for that to happen, we really need guys to buy in, whether it's attackman or a goalie. So
offensively, the one guy who has stood out a little bit more than some of the other guys, Gavin Admirand, already with 14 goals. He's over 50 points as a Beacon, and he's only played 6 games. What does it say about him? Not only that he's putting up those offensive numbers, but also picked up the defensive player of the week after causing quite a few turnovers and picking up a lot of ground balls.
Gavin's a pretty special kid, and obviously he's talented, but he's surrounded by a lot of other talented guys, and I think one of the things that sets him apart, like others on our team, is really just how hard he plays. He goes as hard as he possibly can, really every second of every shift, and I think I'm pleased that he was rewarded for that with both offensive and defensive player of the week this week, but I think it's a tribute to really just how hard he works and just how hard he plays.
Another guy that picked up an award this week, Trevor Coppy, picks up goalie of the week. But in a bigger sense, all 4 of your goalies have played, and all 4 of your goalies have played well thus far. Save percentage almost .650 through your first 2 games.
Yeah, we're really pleased with all 4 guys. We've had some freshmen who were able to get their first game experience on Saturday, and I think they've really stepped up. I think it's a tribute to how Coppy and Charlie Cook have really pushed those guys and helped those guys along as leaders in the net. But I think having 4 really strong goalies has really allowed us to, have a lot of competition in practice. And there's days where some guys are, have a little more than others, but I think that there's kind of a recognition that they're really competing for minutes every day. And I think that's really brought out the best in those guys.
We take a look ahead. Busiest stretch of your season, which it's not a long season, but 3 games in 5 days is asking a lot. Eastern Connecticut State on Tuesday, Western Connecticut State on Thursday, and then your lone non-conference game against undefeated Massachusetts Maritime on Saturday. What's the game plan in terms of kind of preparing you for such a short turnaround? This will be the first time some of these guys have played this many games. And then also you're playing a little bit stiffer competition than you've probably played these last 2 games of this year and the first 4 games of last season.
Sure. I think the mindset that we've taken has really been we need to pursue the best version of ourselves every single game. And I think, that to us allows us to really be hopefully excel with a quick turnaround because the focus is really on ourselves. Obviously, we put a ton of effort and emphasis on the scouting report and the film work that we do. And our guys have really bought in and understood that, even though it's through Zoom, I've been very happy. I think it's one of the benefits that, you give up some stuff having the scout and having the film not being in person, but I think there's some benefits to it being virtual as well, just in terms of how engaged guys are. Again, our assistant coaches have done a great job preparing and really putting in the hours to help get those done and help get those done kind of ahead of time and take advantage when we do have a day or two to take a breath and refocus. But really the people that we rely on the most are, our Jeff Ebbs, Alexa, and Ed really in helping, prepare our guys and keep our guys healthy, and that they're going to be as important this week. And we really need to rely on the work that they've put in so far in helping our guys, get fit and stay healthy.
Coach, one final question. You've played 2 games, 1 at home, 1 on the road. How do you kind of bring your own energy with no fans in the stands? There's not necessarily a home advantage for either side outside of maybe one team having to be on the bus. But do you have to bring a little bit more energy on the bench or within your team to really create that kind of game atmosphere?
Absolutely. We talk about how important it is that our guys make our own energy and really more so than ever, whether you're a guy who's a starter or you're a guy who's the last guy on our bench, you have an ability to contribute in terms of the energy you're bringing on the sideline, the energy you're bringing on the field, the support you're showing your teammates. And I think that's going to be a critical piece. I think the teams that don't need to rely on the crowd's energy to get up and stay up and don't need to rely on the crowd's energy to kind of get through down times in a game or mistakes, I think are going to have a lot of success down the stretch.
Welcome back to James Cotter Field. You see the halftime stats, and we talked about how much faceoffs were hurting Western Connecticut State. Well, that's as dominant as you can possibly be. UMass Boston, 25 of 25 in the faceoff spot. Jack Dobrzynski has taken every single faceoff for UMass Boston. On the opposite side, WestConn's gone through 3 or 4 players, and none of them have been able to beat Dobrzynski. As, in fact, they've had 5 players. Peters is 0 for 10, Duranda 0 for 6, Santa Emma 0 for 5, and Mitchell and Rusak 0 for 2. They also have committed a couple of face-off violations. The Beacons with leads in shots, a huge lead in ground balls, mostly because of face-offs. Perry Cassidy doing a great job. He has given up the 13 goals, but 10 saves to keep his team in it. For UMass Boston, Trevor Coppy with 4 saves, most of those early. Looking at the offensive leaders, Gavin Admirand, 5 goals, an assist on 10 shots. Connor Lenfest has 4 for the Beacons. Donovan Przinski, a pair of goals to reach 200 points for his career. Joe Myers has a goal, and Darragh Fahey a goal and 3 assists for Western Connecticut State. On the flip side, 5 points from Trey Arenal, a goal and 4 assists to lead WestConn. 2 goals each from Yanucci and Caldwell. In fact, 2 goals and an assist each. And then single goals from Weaver, Duranda, Cicchetti, and Hawthorne. 2 minutes to go before the start of half number 2. We're going to take an audio break and be back. It's UMass Boston 13, Western Connecticut State 10 here from James Cotter Field. The teams are ready, but the statistician crew isn't, as WestCon and UMass Boston wanted to start a full minute left in the 10-minute halftime. Big thing for WestCon is, can they win some faceoffs? They don't have to win 50%. They just got to win some of them to take away the offensive chances for UMass Boston, who just had so much more possession in this game. WestCon's done a better job of taking advantage of that possession as the clock counts down the final 10 seconds of halftime. Dobrzynski able to win it backwards, hasn't picked it up, and now he does. Dobrzynski has Riley running to his right. WestCon finally stepping towards him, shoots, pushes it wide. And again, Jack Dobrzynski is doing such a great job with possession, but that's kind of a given away possession. Beacons didn't have anyone behind the net, puts it wide, and WestCon gets the ball back despite not doing much defensively. They didn't get a save, they didn't cause the turnover, but they do get it back. And see if the Beacons maybe ask Dobrzynski to be a little bit less offensively focused. He's dominant. He is as good a face-off man as you can get at winning the face-offs today. Again, Beacons are 26 for 26. I haven't looked at the exact numbers. He's likely 23 or 24 or 24 as that shot whistles wide. Never caught any piece of copy. But he has given the ball away a couple times. He has sent at least 2 shots, one at the end of the second, one early here in the third with no one behind the net, that has given WestCon possession back because the goalie was the closest player to the end line. And that's not a great possession if you're the Beacons. Arano, the top point scorer for WestCon, with a goal and 4 assists. Up top for Caldwell, who's been mostly quiet with just the 3 points. On the far side, it's Hawthorne. And I say mostly quiet because you're talking about the all-time leading point scorer in WestCon history. He's a guy who can easily put up 6 or 7 points in a half. Working with it here is Yanucci. Over for Santa Emma. Hasn't had any luck in the face-off spot, but does have a goal today. Shot from distance, easy save for Copy, just his 5th of the day. In transition, ahead for Jack Ranta. To the near side, it's Riley. Beacons slowing it down, getting into their half-court offense. Say half-court, I should say half-field. Getting my sports analogies mixed up. Lenfest from behind the cage. Over for Admirand. Both players with 4 or more goals. In fact, 9 of the Beacons' 13 almost outscored Western by themselves in that first quarter. Riley fakes the pass over for Admirand, and his shot goes well high. Defender got his stick in there to alter the shot. Still 30 on the shot clock. Lenfest fakes the pass. Western just moving really well as a defensive unit right now. Down to 20 on the shot clock. For Brzezinski up top. Already has 2 today. Riley thinking about the shot, trying to get in tight, shoots, goes wide. No reset of the shot clock with 8. Lenfest out for Fahey. A shot from distance skips wide, and the Beacons will have 3 seconds on the shot clock. There should be 3, as Lenfest didn't like it, and he's just going to throw it away. As the shot clock actually went down to 2. They didn't feel like that was enough time to do anything with it, so they'll take the shot clock violation, and Western will get it back. Controlling it here is Santa Emma, and Western will look to cut into this deficit. They were able to tie the Beacons at 1-1, 2-2, and 4-4. Beacons pushed their lead out to as many as 5, and Western cut the deficit back to 2 with a 3-0 run in the second quarter. They've not been closer than 2 quite a while. Behind the net, it's Caldwell all the way through, finds Hawthorne, and another save from Copy. Back-to-back saves to start this second quarter on Benjamin Hawthorne. Chris Palin will start the breakout ahead for Sprague, and there's no one around him. These Beacons long stick defensemen, they're just trying to find someone, and he has it intercepted. Lofted that pass too far for Kinsley. Kinsley tries to dart through 2 defenders, has his stick knocked away. No call coming here. Ball is loose. Trying to win it is Weaver, can't find it, and coming away with it is Fahey. Beacons with numbers forward. Murphy cutting to the net, actually gives the pick for Fahey. Fahey wanted to go right back, and they're going to say an illegal pick there by Murphy as he was still moving. I'm going to give a shout-out to UMass Boston athletic trainer Alexa Capion, the Beacons lacrosse trainer, unable to be here tonight, but she's watching from home and cheering on the Beacons. UMass Boston women's hockey alum who is back and has been working for UMass Boston for a couple years now. Got a stoppage and an offside. Western unable to keep the right amount of guys in the offensive end. Jack Ranta in transition had a goal last year, looking for a second career goal. Cassidy the save, and Ranta's pushed into the circle. Admirand screaming, hey, he got pushed. That was not Ranta, and let's see what the referees see. This could be a foul against WestCon, and it will be. The Beacons are going to retain possession because a Western player unnecessarily pushed Ranta there, and Ranta was so close to the circle that he made contact with Cassidy. That's a break for UMass Boston. 10:05 to go in what has been a scoreless thus far third quarter. Sure, we won't head to the fourth with this identical scoreline. The way these two teams have scored, this game started with 7 goals. It was 4-3 UMass Boston in the first 5 minutes and change. Myers struggling to make the catch. Loose ball is picked up by a Western player who's sandwiched by a pair of Beacons. Myers knocks it loose. It's still loose. That was Kinsley with it. Matuzak now fighting for it. There's a couple sticks down, a couple players down, and eventually it's picked up by UMass Boston. It's Brzezinski coming back to get it for Admirand, ahead for Fahey, and the Beacons will slow it down. Anytime you're getting a stick whacked on skin that doesn't have any pads, it's going to hurt, as Fahey sends it just wide of the cage. It hit the side netting and allows Cassidy to pick it up. Long outlet pass ahead for Bringman. Bringman finally met by a player. He gets knocked down. Caldwell's pass is wide, but Beacons are going to be called for a penalty as Bringman was just knocked down hard. And we'll see which Beacons defenseman is going to be called this time. .8:59 left in a scoreless third quarter thus far. Western looking to take advantage of a Beacons penalty. Western loses the ball on the far side. Ranta fighting for it for the Beacons, and it'll go back UMass Boston's way. Clock never started up top or on the webcast. I'll admit it, trying to multitask right now. It'll be Cam Ford running up the sideline. Beats one player, loses it, fighting on the sideline. It's going to be out as two players go down, one on either side. Ford is slow to get up. And they're going to say it's Western ball as that WestCon sandwich effectively worked to give them the ball right back. Controlling it up top is Arano for Hawthorne. And right back for Arano. Things have really slowed down to start this third quarter. We're almost midway through. Hawthorne working against Ford, who did not come off the field after that big hit. Yanucci comes behind the cage. Ranta trying to keep him away. In tight, but unable to make the catch is Ryan Hurt. First time I've called his name today. Over for Hawthorne. Still 30 on the shot clock. Plenty of time for Western Connecticut State. Bringman's shot gets knocked down. It was Ford who got in front of it. This will go over the line, and it'll stay with Western. A great diving effort from Copy, but Yanucci just had the edge. Wide open is Hawthorne on the near side. He won't take the shot for Bringman. Down to 19 on the shot clock. Far side, it's Arano. A goal and 4 assists. Looking for help. He's getting badgered. Good work from the opposing number 1, Chris Palin. Down to 10 on the shot clock. Bouncing ball. Hawthorne still fighting for it. A player gets knocked down. That should be a foul against Western as Jack Ranta took a huge hit to the head. And the Beacons will get the ball back. Jack Riley wants to sprint. We've got a offside call against Western. Too many players in the defensive end. Riley in tight and Cassidy the save. Should get a whistle and a Beacons man-up opportunity. (13-10) Beacons, and it looks like it's going to be Hawthorne who is going over to the penalty area. .7:06 to go in the third quarter. UMass Boston leading by 3, going to man up. Have just 3 man-up goals on the season. If they really have one area of weakness for a team that's 3-0 and has already scored a program record 30 goals in a game and earned their first ever win over Eastern Connecticut State in 27 tries, it's the man-up offense. And you're really nitpicking when you're asking for an issue with a team that's already had as much success as they have to start the year. Looking to make it 4-0. Pass in tight. Admirand, the scoop shot. Got a whistle against Westcon. Admirand wasn't even trying to catch it. He was just trying to push that ball with his stick. He draws a foul, and we should see UMass Boston go 2 men up now. So Caldwell was already kneeling on the opposite side, and it looks like he's going to be joined by Matthew Shabaro, a pair of seniors over there. And the Beacons will go up against just 4 defenders now. Dangerous times if you're Westcott. UMass Boston 6. Admirand, Lenfest, Fahey, Brzezinski, Mann, and Claflin. Lenfest thought about it all the way across for Brzezinski. His pass is intercepted. Really big defensive play there from Peters. Trying to get across the midfield line. The Beacons had 2 men up. Peters is stripped right at midfield. Loose ball. No one has it. And we've got a whistle, and we'll see who it's against. The ball, well, no one has possession yet. They're going to give it to Westcon, so a huge break there for Western Connecticut State. Caldwell is still kneeling. I think Shabaro is done. So whatever Caldwell was whistled for was at least a minute, if not longer. You'd like to have Caldwell out there because he's the centerpiece of your offense and has been for 4 years. Call him the centerpiece. You can call him the anchor at 6'5" and your go-to scorer. It's hard to miss him. And right now they are missing him on the field. But they're content to just wait it out. He might be back for this possession. Still 40 seconds to go on the shot clock. So that might be part of their thinking. No movement yet from Caldwell on the far side. 30 on the shot clock. It's Hawthorne. Hawthorne for Yanucci. It's wide. It'll stay with Western with 24 on the shot clock. 5:12 to go in the third quarter in what has stunningly been a scoreless third after the two teams combined for 23 goals in the first two quarters. Arano down to 15 on the shot clock. Caldwell still not in the game. Under 5 to go in the quarter. Caldwell comes on, and he's going to have to do something with just 6 seconds. Let's see what the big man can do. Fifth-year senior, running with Riley, shoots and scores. As soon as he came on, you knew it was going to be up to him, and a huge play from Eric Caldwell to open the scoring here in the third. Less than 10 seconds on the shot clock. The Beacons go with Jack Riley against him. Not a defenseman, but certainly one of their bigger, stronger players, and Riley unable to keep Caldwell from getting a good shot off. 13-11, 4:46 to go in the third. This is as close as Western has been since the Beacons took a 6-4 lead. Dobrzynski hasn't won it yet. He won it back towards the Beacons. This is a chance for Western to win their first face-off, and coming all the way back is Jack Riley. The Beacons will not be denied when it comes to face-offs today. They went 25 of 25 in that first half. Riley, from his own defensive half, working on the smaller player. That's Bringman. Leaves it off for Kidd. A really high pass that Fahey nearly kept in, but unable to do so. And another unforced error by the Beacons. UMass Boston's really been their own biggest enemy. Almost a turnover the other way. Sean York, though, able to pick it up as Admirand was on his heels. York ahead and across. There for Peters, who's able to avoid Ranta. Peters still with it over for Caldwell, who just scored that last goal. 3:54 to go in the third. WestCon leads 1-0 in the quarter. Trails 13-11. And what a big save from Coppy. Off the top of his stick, off the top of the net. And the Beacons collect. That easily could have gone in. It was a matter of inches as that one hit the top of the crossbar. In transition, Luke Murphy, another errant pass, but Fahey able to keep this one alive. UMass Boston yet to score in the quarter. Doesn't happen very often. In fact, I don't know if it's happened all season long. I think they scored at least one. They didn't score in the second quarter against EastCon the other day, so that's actually their only scoreless quarter of the season. 13-11. Tons of time left. Admirand through a lot of traffic for Fahey, who tomahawks that one in. Not the way you normally do it, but Darragh Fahey able to get it to go. The junior out of Walpole with his second goal of the game, and the Beacons extend their lead back to 3 at 14-11. Got a final from Danbury. The Beacon softball team has made it official. 7-2 Game 2 victory over WestCon. So the Beacon softball team splits with WestCon, and they move to 2-2 on the year. Split each of their first two doubleheaders, first against Castleton and now against WestCon. Beacons won the face-off, but there's a violation. I don't know if that's going to go down as a face-off win for WestCon or if it's just going to be a turnover after the win. So I was looking down at my notes, but either way, a rare possession where WestCon doesn't have to deal with the Beacons defensively after a face-off. 14-11, 2:35 to go in what has been a low-scoring third quarter, now 1-1. Eric Caldwell with 3 goals on the day, 4 points. He used a lot of shot clock their last possession, but that's because Caldwell started the possession still in the penalty area. Didn't come out till the final 10 seconds and was able to score pretty much an unassisted goal. He did all the work. Arano, 5 points in the first half, looking for more. Arano leaves it off for Santa Emma, who scores, and it's back to a 2-goal Beacon lead. Zach Santa Emma able to find a good spot in the middle of the Beacon's defense. Just like that, 14-12. This WestCon team's not going away. Dobrzynski to work against Gironda this time. As good as Dobrzynski has been, you got to feel like there's even more pressure on you here in the third. This game's so tight, you really have to win these face-offs, and don't think he's going to win this one, although the ball comes loose, coming over, and unable to pick it up the first time, but with plenty of time, is James Brinkman, and WestCon has, if they hadn't won one already, they've officially won one, and we're going to see a shot clock reset. Just a small stoppage in play. And we're back to live action with a minute and 40 to go. In the third quarter. WestCon behind the cage. Santa Emma looking for another one. This one goes wide. Arano all alone behind the net. Easily keeps possession with Western. 61 on the shot clock. A minute 27 to go in the quarter. Arano for Yanucci. Near side for Caldwell. Caldwell draws the double team. Able to find a player to the near side in Yanucci. Yanucci to the backside. Looks for Hawthorne. He's double teamed up top. And the shot is good. Jesse Weaver brings WestCon as close as they've been since the first quarter. It is 14-13 with a minute 8 to go in the third. And folks, don't go anywhere, especially if you're home and inside. If you're outside, I would go home. We'll keep you alert to what's going on. 14-13, a minute 8 to go. And another crucial face-off. Dobrzynski able to win this one against Gironda. Dobrzynski will pull out, give it over to Lenfest. It's weird to say, but it feels like this is a huge possession in this game for UMass Boston. Lenfest fakes the pass, shoots, and that one, not sure if it was Cassidy or the side post that it caught, but either way, takes a huge bounce and out of bounds with 49 to go in the quarter. The Beacons have a clean shot clock. That will not be an issue. It's just how quickly they want to go. With Dobrzynski's dominance, you feel like you can go a little bit quicker because you're probably going to get the ball back if you get another face-off or two. Brzezinski in tight. Working there is Kidd, who was trying to get a shot off, couldn't handle it, but able to hold on as he picked up the ground ball and finds Fahey. Fahey for Lenfest. Lenfest, the extra pass for Brzezinski. Brzezinski backs it out with 19 to go. Back up top for Brzezinski, who has 200 career points on the dot. For Fahey. Fahey right back for Lenfest. Ball gets bounced around, picked up by Cassidy. Cassidy across the midfield line with 4 seconds. Arano ahead for Yanucci. Clock is expired. He shoots. It's saved anyway. And we head to the fourth quarter. It's UMass Boston 14, WestCon 13. The visitors outscore the Beacons 2-1 in the third. And we have ourselves a really tight game going into the fourth quarter. 14-13, UMass Boston facing some adversity heading into the fourth for the second consecutive game. The Beacons trailed 8-7 at Eastern Connecticut State on Tuesday and outscored Eastern 3-0 in the fourth to earn a 10-8 victory. They'd love to do a similar thing here in the fourth, although they do open the quarter with a 1-goal lead. It'll be Dobrzynski and Peters in the face-off, and Dobrzynski wins another one. The Beacons as a team went 25-25. Dobrzynski takes some contact. He won it, and it's Murphy who picks it up. 3 players around him. He's able to keep it alive, and we're going to get a stoppage, and it'll go against the Beacons as Murphy was pushed out of bounds. Cassidy, the long throw across midfield, able to find what looks like Weaver. Weaver ahead for Chabarro. His pass is deflected, and it'll go off the Beacons and out of bounds. Sticks with the visitors. My name is Seth Dorensky, bringing you all the action here on the Little East Conference Network and Beacons Broadcast Network. Big game between the Beacons, who sit at 3-0 in conference, WestCon at 2-1. These two teams both will likely end up as 2 of the top 3 seeds alongside Keene State College in the upcoming 2021 LEC tournament. That's in 2 weeks. Shot from distance. Caldwell whips it high. No one behind the net, and it'll go back to the Beacons. That's a break. Caldwell is not the guy you want shooting against you in any situation. And the fact that the shot not only went wide, but the Beacons got it back, feels like a gift. Jack Ranta, younger brother of former Beacon Robert Ranta, gets it ahead for Murphy. And the Beacons will push it forward. Lenfest all the way around for Fahey. The Beacons' offense is noticeably slowed down here. WestCon has really picked up their defensive efforts. Fahey for Lenfest, who reached 100 career goals in this one. Reached 150 career points last week in the Beacons' second game of the season. Top 10 in both of those categories. Shot from Admirand, and you need some instant offense. You go to Gavin Admirand. His 6th of the day, and the Beacons push their lead back to 15-13. The reigning Little East Conference offensive and defensive player of the week. Yes, that is a correct title. How often do you see someone do both in lacrosse? Coming up big for the Beacons in his first ever matchup against this WestCon team. Jack Dobrzynski to face off against Matt Peters. Faced off against 5 different guys for WestCon. Hasn't mattered. Dobrzynski has been dominant. Dobrzynski able to win it clean. Heads towards the net, has a couple players there. Tries to take a shot. Absorbs an enormous hit that was honestly a little bit dirty. It came up near the head from behind there, and let's just see how long this penalty is going to be against WestCon. I mean, this is a very physical game. Let's not kid ourselves, but that hit was directly trying to avoid Dobrzynski getting a shot off, but it came up really high by the shoulder and head, and those are the kind of hits that can really hurt a player in any sport. Dobrzynski is going to be helped off, and honestly, if you're WestCon, if there's one guy you can get out of this game, it's Dobrzynski. He's just been so good, and the Beacons don't really have a clear number 2, as Dobrzynski is walking on his own power, but with 2 Beacons by him, hopefully he's 100% okay. Just so vital to this Beacons team. They will get a man-up opportunity. Still waiting to see who the player in the penalty area is. He's being blocked from my angle by a Beacon player. Being told it could be 24 for... It's either James Bringman, so it's 25 for WestCon, and right now he's having a conversation with the team's head coach, Ryan Cavanaugh. We don't have any public address announcements today, so we don't know how long he is in the penalty area and if it's a locked-in penalty. Shot from Lenfest went well high. 12:46 to go in regulation. The Beacons looking to get the lead right back. Whitlock behind the back pass for Przinski. Right back for Whitlock. He's been quiet today. for Fahey, high pass, and Lenfest goes all the way up to get it. Stands at just 5'9", used the whole stick. Fahey, a behind-the-back shot that hits the crossbar. That's a reset on the shot clock. Would have been an amazing goal. He's already scored one really good one, a tomahawk goal today. Has 2 on the day. Fahey in tight for Lenfest, who hits the crossbar. The Beacons trying to pick it up. Player gets knocked down. Not enough for a penalty. And Westcon has a chance to get out of it. Great reach there from Max Durand in transition. Perry Cassidy is liable to just throw some balls up on some of these clear attempts and just trust his midfielders. And that was a tremendous play by Durand to get there. That penalty on Brinkman was just a minute penalty for a body check. So Westcon should get him back shortly. .11:40 to go in regulation. As that low ball across the field, a pass there. Whitlock almost came across and beat Yanucci to it. Westcon is still down a man. 35 on the shot clock. I wonder if they're just going to try to play it out until they get back to even strength. Caldwell, the one guy who can do it himself. Caldwell to the near side. Santa Emma does a great job to keep it alive. That ball nearly skipped by him. UMass Boston trying to pick it up, and it's Sprague who was able to do so. But first we've got a whistle. And I don't quite know what the referee saw there, but it looks like it's going to stay with Westcon. Reset of the shot clock, which hurts the Beacons because it was under 30. .11:09 left. It'll be Westcon ball. It's not a penalty on the Beacons, although they only have 5 defenders. Now we see Ranta kneel. So the Beacons are whistled for a penalty. It's going to be an offside call on Jack Ranta. So a 30-second call against the Beacons. Down a man, and Westcon a chance, if they can move quickly, to get a man-up goal. We're effective early. They had 2 man-up goals in the first quarter. Moving it around, the tight-knit Beacons defense up top, it's Arano. Arano, the playmaker, not necessarily the goal scorer, tries to find Yanucci. His pass goes wide, and the Beacons will get it back. So another instance where a team had a man-up advantage but couldn't take advantage. Cam Ford will start with it. And Ford's the guy who doesn't need a passing option. He's just going to take it himself. Ford getting some heavy whacks, gets to midfield, takes a hit, had it all the way, and finally loses it. Coming across and picking it up is Brinkman. Ford, so much good work there, but unfortunately unable to hold on and set the Beacons offense up. These two teams easily could meet again in the Little East Conference semifinals. The winner today, if they can beat the teams they should, both of these teams have Plymouth left. Western Connecticut State has Castleton left. UMass Boston has Keene. If they can beat Keene, they're the 1 seed. But nobody's beaten Keene in quite a while in the Little East Conference. But even a 2 seed would be a great start. You just have to beat Keene once, and you'd rather do it in the Little East Conference tournament, as we've got a flag coming. Caldwell well wide of the net. But we could easily see these teams again, and I think both teams are going to have some points of emphasis. For the Beacons, it's taking advantage of their possessions. For Westcon, they've got to figure out a way to do a better job against Jack Dobrzynski in the faceoff. I think it's going to be Ranta again going straight back to the penalty area. He was the last man who was in there, although he might be joined by a Westcon player. Let's see. No, they're just going to have that player head to the bench, not in the penalty area. Still waiting on the call against Ranta, who was just called for a foul, or rather a penalty. 9:39 to go. It'll start with Yanucci. Up top for Arano. It's going to be an illegal procedure call on Ranta, so back-to-back 30-second penalties. Westcon trying to take advantage of man up. Yanucci for Arano. Has the man on the near side. Shot from Hawthorne wide. .9:27 to go in regulation. Westcon has not led in this game. Trailed by as many as 5. Near side, Cicchetti, the shot, he scores. Steven Cicchetti cuts the deficit back to 1. WestCon has not even tied the Beacons since the first quarter, but they have cut the deficit to 1 twice here in the second half and held the Beacons to just 2 goals. WestCon outscoring UMass Boston 4-2 here in the second half. And a huge face-off between Max Gironda and Jack Dobrzynski. Beacons were 25 of 25 in the first half on face-offs. They are now 30 of 32. So I know it doesn't sound great, but WestCon has actually won 2 of the 7 face-offs thus far. This one's still loose. And unless there's a procedural call, it's going to be won by the Beacons. But it wasn't easy as Cam Ford finally picked up the ground ball. We said that WestCon had to be better in the face-off, and 2 for 8, not good. It's just 25%, but certainly more competitive than an 0 for 25 mark in the first half. Beacons desperately need a good possession here. You want a goal. You don't need one, but you'd certainly like to get some offensive momentum. Lenfest shoots and scores. I don't know how he saw that angle, but Connor Lenfest with a humongous goal. The man who reached 100 goals on the night picks up yet another one. It was Admirand who started the day with 4 goals. Lenfest has matched him. Those two have combined for 12 goals, 6 goals apiece, and 2 assists. The Beacons' original big 3, and I say original because I think Darragh Fahey certainly deserves to be in that grouping. Admirand has 6 goals and 2 assists. Fahey has 2 goals and 5 assists, and Lenfest now with 6 goals of his own. It's 16-14 Beacons, and Dobrzynski wins another faceoff. Don't think he was too happy losing 2 earlier. Murphy with it for the Beacons. The WestCon player goes down. Slow to get up is Santa Emma. Appears to be okay, though. 16-14, 8:23 to go. The Beacons open the half with a 3-goal lead, but it hasn't been that many since WestCon scored, and now it's point number 201 from Darragh Fahey. He's got the hat trick, and the Beacons lead is right back out to 3 at 17-14. I said back in the second quarter we were on pace to see 20 or more goals for both sides. I don't know if we're going to get there necessarily, but I don't think the Beacons are going to feel comfortable until they get to at least 20 today, when WestCon can score. We've seen them score in bunches. We've seen UMass Boston just do it a little bit more frequently. Off the face-off, Dobrzynski lifts it up, and Ford is there. Ford, through traffic, Ford shoots and scores! Cam Ford! 5 seconds after the Beacons made it 17-14. It's a 4-goal lead at 18-14. Put on his PF Flyers today as he just was rushed past a couple players to pick up the ground ball and then saw no one on the defense that was going to be able to close him down. A bounce shot that goes over Cassidy, and what a huge momentum shift. Brzezinski and Ford each within at least at maximum 10 to 12 seconds, and the Beacons lead is 18-14 with 8:07 to go. I think it's going to be Santa Emma this time against Dobrzynski. Actually goes back towards the WestCon offensive end, but it's Dobrzynski who wins it nonetheless. Jack Dobrzynski is going to need, well, first he's going to need to heat up, but he's going to need an ice bath either tonight or tomorrow morning because he has had a lot of work and has taken a lot of physical blows from this WestCon team. It's weird in a game with as many goals as we've seen today and a couple of big-time goal scorers that Dobrzynski is probably the Beacons player of the game if they can hold on to this lead. Just been as dominant as I can ever remember a face-off man, especially in a competitive game. It's not as if this is a bad WestCon team or they don't have good face-off guys. Zach Santa Emma came in having won 63.6% of his face-offs, including already playing Keene State. It's a really good team. But yet, the Beacons have won all but 2 face-offs. I think it's now 32 of 34. And give credit to Jack Riley and Cam Ford, the 2 guys who are in the midfield trying to help him win face-offs. The shot from Brzezinski going away from goal and an easy save for Cassidy. Outlet pass picked up there by Shabaro. Got a whistle and an offside call against Westcon. It's a bad procedural play there by the visitors. Already down by 4, and they give it away with 6:45 to play. If I'm UMass Boston, I'm taking the full 80 seconds here on the shot clock. Still a lot of time, but don't need to really rush it here. Up 4, you could get this game down to about 5 minutes to go. Instead, they'll shoot. It's Admirand wide behind the net. Closest to it was Lenfest. 6:25 left, 57 on the shot clock. Admirand for Brzezinski. Brzezinski, Admirand, and Admirand all with hat tricks today. In fact, Lenfest and Admirand have 6 apiece. Clock ticking down to 6 minutes to go. Just over 30 seconds on the shot clock. The Beacons can take this down under 5.5, and you hope you can score late in the shot clock, but just wisely killing time. Up by 4 goals, and with a big advantage in the faceoff, the only way Westcon can beat you is to get saves or force turnovers. Haven't proven that they can win faceoffs consistently. Admirand goes with 10, and we've got an illegal moving screen there on a Beacon. It's Fahey whistled for it. So the Beacons do take off 70 seconds on the 80-second shot clock, but unable to get a shot or goal. And Westcon now needs to move with a little bit of pace with 5:25 to go. Behind the net, it's Aronell. His pass goes wide. We've got a whistle, and I think Westcon got a timeout before that turnover. They did. 5:20 on the clock. Westcon uses the first of their 2 timeouts here in the fourth quarter. It's 18-14 UMass Boston. We'll be back after this short audio break. .5:20 to go in regulation. Huge possession here for Western Connecticut State. They trail by 4 after the Beacons scored 3 straight goals. It was 15-14 not too long ago. So controlling it here is Eric Caldwell with a couple Beacons all over him. Copy makes the save, but it trickles through. Smart call there by Western's coaching staff. Why not go to your former all-conference player, your program's all-time leading point scorer, one of the top goal scorers in program history, and Caldwell able to cut the deficit back to 3 at 18-15. Still 5:11 to go, and this is a crucial face-off, especially if you're Western. Dobrzynski will take on Santa Emma, their number 1 guy. It's close, but Dobrzynski wins it. Dobrzynski immediately over for Admirand, and now the Beacons need to slow it down. Up 3, 80 on the shot clock, 5 minutes to go. You probably don't want to look for a shot until the final 20 to 25 seconds. Take a minute off. Behind the net for Fahey. Darragh's had another big day. He doesn't need to score to be effective. He's become a really good playmaker on this team. The 2019 LEC Rookie of the Year came in, and he was the 3rd option behind Ned Parker and Connor Ledfest, and he's probably the 3rd option on this team, he or Donovan Brzezinski, and seems really comfortable in that role. Doesn't need the spotlight. plays a really good two-way game. Under 30 seconds on the shot clock, 4:15 to go. You expect the Beacons, in front of their own bench right now, to start moving in the next 5 to 10 seconds. On the far side, working with it, is Admirand. Down to 15 on the shot clock. The Beacons turn it over on their last possession late in the shot clock. Admirand tries to get to the front. That's actually Whitlock who puts it wide. Foot race on the far side. Kidd trying to keep it in, and it's going to be out of bounds off the Beacons. So another turnover where the Beacons don't get a shot, as the Westcon player who dove in there with Zach Mann is still down, and we're going to get a stoppage. I don't know if he hit the track or one of the Beacons' bags, as the Beacons have all of their bags spread out on the track to keep people away from each other as they warm up, but it looks like it's Santa Emma over there was slow to get up. He's up on his and trotting towards the sideline, but certainly took a huge hit there as he and Mann dove at the exact same time for that ball, trying to keep it in, or in Westcon's case, trying to make sure it got out. Clock starts with 3:54 to go. Westcon just scored, looking to get another quick goal. Westcon gets another. The Beacons can't worry about slowing it down anymore. They need to get goals. 3:38 to go in what has been a close game throughout. The Beacons led by as many as 5 two times in the second quarter, but here in the second half, the lead has been 3 or less, although Beacons actually did push out to 4 just a couple minutes ago. Westcon responding with Caldwell. Got a whistle, and it's against Westcon. So now the Beacons, if they want, could slow it down. We'll see what Riley elects to do. He shoots it wide. Behind the net was Lenfest. And that could have been really bad if Lenfest didn't get there first. 3:15 to go. And now, with no transition going on, I'd expect the Beacons to try to take off another 45 to 50 seconds. 70 on the shot clock, 3:08 to go. And Tyler Lowe and the Beacons coaching staff screaming out instructions. You want to get a shot. You want to get a goal here. But you need to kill clock more than anything because, again, after every goal, and if Westcon does score to cut it to 18-16, there's a face-off. And UMass Boston has been so dominant in the face-offs that they can afford to not score here, to not create a good chance if they can take off at least 70 seconds because there's that little time left in this game. Be a very different story if face-offs were competitive in this contest, which they have not been unfortunately, if you're a Westcon fan. Brzezinski wants it from distance and scores! The Beacons take off 60 seconds on the shot clock, and they get a goal. It's back to 4 with 2:24 left, and Westcon is firmly in the danger zone. Donovan Brzezinski, his 4th of the day. The Beacons have now gotten 15 goals from the combination of Admirand, Lenfest, and Brzezinski. That's as many as Westcon has on the day. 2:24 left. Dobrzynski wins it forward and wins the faceoff. And that is why the Beacons are going to win this game. More than anything else, it's their pure and utter dominance in the faceoff. They've had more possessions and they've done more with them, as the shot from Admirand will end up going out as Cassidy actually beats Admirand because they say that the ball wasn't out when Admirand went down, and now unable to handle it, and finally it slows down enough for him as Kinsley. Admirand can't believe it. He thought that the ball was out as he dove forward, but apparently it stayed in long enough for Cassidy to keep it alive. 1:46 to go in regulation. Still 60 on the shot clock, but Westcott needs to shoot and shoot quickly. Caldwell still with it. Caldwell elects to give it up. Working with it is Cicchetti, who tosses it away. This will go over the end line, and unless Westcott can force a turnover fast, this should just about do it. Copy over from Matuzak. The Beacons just need to get it across the midfield line without turning it over. Riley, met by a pair of players. Now he's going to have to get past the third and does so. Riley, a successful clear, and with 1:10 to go, Beacons should be on cruise control right now. UMass Boston saw WestCon creep within one here in the fourth quarter at 15-14, but four goals in the pass of the last five, giving the Beacons a 19-15 lead, and their second consecutive 4-0 start to the season, their first ever 4-0 start in Little East Conference play. And between last year and this year, they're just the second time in program history they've won 8 or more games in a row. Donovan Brzezinski avoiding the close defense call. 23 on the shot clock, so the Beacons are going to have to either shoot it or give it up here. There's a 3-second difference between shot clock and game clock. Somehow holding on is Kidd in front for Lenfest. Can the Beacons get 20? No. Cassie the save, and then Lenfest trying to go for the rebound, unable to get there. We do have an upcoming penalty against WestCon. So with 10 seconds left, we'll see WestCon have a man go off, and the Beacons are going to win it. Would have been nice to get that solid round 20, but I'm sure the Beacons just happy to come away with the victory in a game that was far closer here in the fourth quarter than it probably should have been. But UMass Boston able to come up with the big plays when it mattered. Kidd for Riley. Admirand will swing it around. The Beacons on the man up here for the final second, and that will do it. UMass Boston a 19-15 victory as they again had to come up with a big fourth quarter against a conference team from Connecticut. The Beacons move to 4-0 in both conference and overall. WestCon 2-2, 2-2 in conference play. It's probably not the last time we're going to see these two teams play. UMass Boston closes it out 19-15. That's going to do it for our production here from James Cotter Field. My name is Seth Dorensky, your play-by-play guy. Carson Comments doing a little bit of graphics and camera. Taryn Brogel doing camera as well. It was a cold one here at James Cotter Field, but the Beacons come out on top 19-15.